Hey guys, Fixout here. Today I'm going to be doing spark plugs on my grandmother's 2013 Chevrolet Impala, and I'll be walking through how to change them out with you. As you can see, I already have a few things taken off here, just to kind of get swift here. I have this, the air part of the air intake and the mass airflow sensor off. To get this off, it's one connector for the mass airflow, and then there is a vacuum connector here, or I believe it's part of the PCV valve system because it's this hose here. You just push the two blue things together and pull it off, and then there's three of these clip things on the air box, and then this will come out after you take out the two 8mm. I'm getting oil all over my project car. Oh well. And then this beauty cover, or engine cover, whatever you want to call it, you just take your oil fill cap off and then it pops off and gives you that. This is also a great time to check your air filter, since you're going to have the air filter intake off anyways. And this air filter, I showed up to light here, it's a little dirty but it's still alright. And what you'll need to do this job is obviously an 8mm, like I said before. For this, you will need a 10mm socket to remove the ignition coils. You will need a 5/8 spark plug socket to get to the spark plugs. And you will need a 13mm socket to remove the intake manifold bolts, the upper intake manifold bolts, as you do need to remove that to get to the rear spark plugs. Now, I have seen some people kind of go back here, and you can see the coils to get them out. If you have like long extensions and stuff, you can kind of wriggle them out of there. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take the intake manifold off. It's not that hard. It takes like 10 minutes. You should replace the intake manifold gasket. I could not find one, so I'm just going to hope it's alright. Yeah, so to get the intake manifold off, you have your map sensor here, which you normally would just unplug, but the little blue tab broke off of me, so I just took it off. And then you have your throttle body electrical connector down here. You have your evap canister purge valve electrical connector and evap line. And then back here you have your vacuum line that goes over to your brake booster. And you have your other PCV valve line right there. Once you get all that disconnected, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts, and the intake should come off. I'm going to go ahead and take all those bolts out, and I'll come back once I got that done. Okay, I am back. I got those bolts out. Just a quick tip here. The 3 longer bolts go in these 3 top holes, and the shorter bolts go in the bottom holes. But like I said, now the intake should just something wasn't disconnected clearly, but it should just come off. Just like, oh, I broke that. That's what wasn't disconnected. Ow, she's hot. Hot, hot, hot. So I guess I kind of sort of lied. There's a tab on the back of this bracket that bolts to the intake manifold. Oops. Oh well, it's off now. That's not really gonna affect much there. But yeah, I guess you need a 10mm, take that bolt and take this bolt here and one more bolt back there off, and this will kind of move out of the way. Yeah, so now we can get to our spark plugs. Like I said, you should replace this intake manifold gasket. It is a rubber gasket, so I think it'll be alright. I'm just gonna send it. But so yeah, now we can get to our 3 spark plugs back there with more ease. And to get to those, I'll show you on the front here. These gray clips here pull back. Let me grab my flathead. These gray clips, you just kind of pop them back, maybe. There we go. That's just a locking tab to make sure that these don't come unplugged while you're driving. Then you can press down the center tab and those will come off. Do that for all 6. Pull out this 10mm bolt for all 6. and then you can remove your coils, and then I'll come back once I get that done to pull spark plugs out. Also, I forgot to mention, this will be pretty much the same for any Impala or even any other similar Chevrolet vehicles or GMC vehicles that have a 3.6 liter V6. The setup is pretty much the same from, I believe it was I want to say 2012 to 2016-17. If it has the 3.6 liter V6, it'll be exactly like this. May have a few different vacuum and electrical connectors, but it'll be more or less the same. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and pull all my coils out, and I will come back when I get them out. Alright, I'm back. I got all the coils out, and I kind of forgot to mention something. After you take the intake manifold off, I highly suggest putting rags or something over the intake ports, because as you can see, you are going to be working kind of over the ports to get to the back plugs there, and you wouldn't want to drop anything down into the engine because that could be a pain in the ass. Anyways, I got all the coils out. I laid them out here so I know where they go. So it'll be 2, 4, 6, 1, 3, 5. Those are the cylinders. 2, 4, 6, 1, 3, 5. And now we can pull our spark plugs out. So we'll go ahead and do that. I got my 5/8 socket on a 6-inch extension. If you have more extensions, it does kind of help to raise it up a little bit more and give you some more clearance for your ratchet. But I'm going to go ahead and pull all 6 of those out, and I will be back once I get that done. Alright, I'm back. Got all the plugs out. Before I show you what's wrong with this spark plug right here, if you can't see it already, let me tell you what was going on with this car. So the issue we were having with this car is you would be sitting at a stoplight, and you would just kind of feel it misfire like every couple seconds. And also, if you went out on the highway doing about 110, 120 kilometers an hour, which is roughly 70, 75 miles an hour for all the Americans, and you started going up a hill and kind of really loading the motor up, it would also start to misfire really bad under load, and it would, the check engine light would come on and flash. Flashing check engine light almost always indicates a catalyst damaging misfire. What that means is it's a misfire that's bad enough that it'll be dumping raw fuel into the exhaust, and it can damage your catalytic converters. So when you have a flash check engine light, you want to get whatever's causing it to misfire that bad. You want to get that fixed pretty good or pretty quickly, because those aren't cheap if you have to replace them. Like if I had to replace that one, I bet you that cat's probably $600. Anyways, we'll get back to the spark plug here. Let me see if you can see what's wrong with this one, if it'll focus. Come on. Maybe use this as back. There we go. Yeah, big old crack right there in the porcelain. There's also another one on this side. And you can actually see that little dark spot right there. That's where the spark has been jumping from this spark plug. On this side too, dark spot there as well. It's been jumping from this plug to the side of this little cylinder that the spark plug sits in. So that's what was causing our misfire at under load or when at idle. Anywhere in between idle and up to 120 on highway, this car drove great. Didn't misfire, no problems whatsoever. But that just goes to show you, ignition related issues will always or almost always show themselves when you load up the motor, because it puts a big load on the ignition system. So that's something to look for, is looking for arcing on spark plugs, or your ignition coils can do it too. Sometimes you'll see a little white dot on the boot of the ignition coil where it'll be arcing from there to the side of this cylinder. Or if you have spark plug wires on like an older vehicle, it can be arcing from the spark plug wires to some metal on the motor, or even to another spark plug wire, which can cause a whole lot of other issues. But anyways, I was lucky to find this. I knew we had an issue with cylinder 6, so I pulled the spark plug out, and sure enough, found that. So pretty easy find for this car. But you can see we have AC Delco 41109. Replacing them with the exact same thing, AC Delco 41109, which is I believe it is a iridium spark plug. I mean, looking at these, they look like iridium spark plugs, but it is the recommended spark plug from Chevrolet or GM for this vehicle. So that's what I'm putting back in it. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in, and I'll come back after I get those back in. I'm back. I haven't put the plugs in yet, but I thought I should talk about this little plastic cylinder that's in the spark plug box with the spark plug. If you have a spark plug that has this on it in the box, it usually means that the spark plug comes pre-gapped from the factory. So the gap, come on, focus. The gap between this electrode and the little pointy electrode on the porcelain there is preset from the factory to what this car wants. Now, I normally still check them because you never know, they can get bumped around and that little outer electrode can get bent down. So I'll still check them, and normally around the engine bay somewhere there'll be a sticker like this right here. Something like this that'll tell you what to gap your spark plugs to. This sticker does not, but somewhere it'll be there, or it'll be in your owner's manual or something. On this particular car, I believe it is 0.043, 43 thousandths. But yeah, I'm going to check them all before I put them in. Also, you should put just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of anti-seize on the threads of the spark plug. That just helps whenever you go to change your plugs again. It helps the spark plugs don't seize into the cylinder. These cars aren't bad for that, but if you're working on something like a Ford Triton, that could help. Or any other things, any other cars that like to hold on to their spark plugs, if you will. They don't like them coming out. It just helps the next guy out that puts spark plugs in this car if it gets to that point in its life. Also, most manufacturers nowadays recommend spark plugs to be done every 90 to 100,000 kilometers. This car actually had spark plugs put in it at 96,000 kilometers. It now has 108,000 on it. But I'm thinking whoever put them in last either dropped that spark plug and it cracked, or they over tightened it and it cracked, and then it's, yeah, just not good. Anyways, little rant done there. I'm going to go ahead and put all these new spark plugs in, and I'll come back when I get that done. Alright, I got all the plugs back in. I went ahead and put all the coils back in too. You just slide them in, connect the electrical connector, and then put the 10mm bolts in. Spark plugs don't have to be tight, just run them down kind of by hand and then give them a good snug. That's all they need. Same thing with these bolts, run them down by hand, give them a good snug. Now you can put the intake back on. It's exact reverse of removal. So we will grab this guy from over here. And we will slide him in here. Make sure all our hoses and stuff are out of the way. That we can. Where did my throttle connector go? It's way the heck back here. There it is. Okay, I think we're set down. It looks like we're set down and relatively lined up. Okay, and like I said earlier, long bolts go in the top. Yep. Short bolts go in the bottom. Like that. Make sure everything goes into holes. All started by hand. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tighten all those down, and I'll come back to run through plugging everything back into the intake. Okay, got those tightened down. Go through plugging everything back in now. Start off at the back here. You got your PCV valve, which will go into the hole here. And you kind of have to twist it, like so. And then it should come in eventually. So you can kind of see the clips on the side there. What I did is I kind of just twisted it, push it in, and twist it back. And then we got our brake booster vacuum line, which you just push on, it clips on. And our map sensor, which again, I took it right out. Normally you just take this electrical connector off. So if you took it out, put it back in, put your bolt in, I'll do that later. And then if you didn't, just this electrical connector, click it back on. Then come over here and we got our evap line. Again, just clicks on, or should. I guess you have to push this down, and then once it's on, push that back up. And you got the electrical connector for the evap purge solenoid, just clicks in. Your electronic throttle connector, push it on, push your locking tab in, and that is everything other than this vacuum line, which goes to your intake tube, and your MAF or mass airflow sensor electrical connector. I'm going to go ahead and put that airbox stuff back in, and I will come back once I got that in. Alright, and there we go. Everything's all back together. Got the intake box on. This vacuum hose here just clicks on. Same with this connector, just clicks on, and there's that locking tab on the back. Tighten these two band clamps, and you're good to go. Now, before I put this engine cover back on, I'm going to start the car and make sure everything is working good before I put that cover back on. And there we are. She runs perfectly, nice and smooth, no misfires, at least so far. I'm going to go for a road test after this, make sure that it's all good. And quick update, the engine block for my project car is at the machine shop right now, getting work done to it, getting it bored 30 over, hot tanked, and some new camshaft bearings put in it. Of course, once they check it out and phone me to make sure that the block's actually good to rebuild. And then I'll be ordering some more parts, and that'll be moving along pretty soon. I also did some work to the T5 transmission that I'm getting to this. I put some new bearings in it and stuff. There'll be an update video on this hopefully soon once I get the block back. But like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you like seeing videos like this, consider subscribing to my channel and giving a big thumbs up, as it does help me. Alright, I hope you guys have a nice day.